In this video, I am going to share with you my go-to process when I need to create a quick card. I'll just get right to the point and tell you what my process is, and then I will show you how I utilize that in my card today. So when I need to make a quick card, the first thing I do is grab either a die or an image stamp set, a sentiment, and then either a background stamp or a stencil. Now, in this case, the products that I chose is the Tattered Daisy. So that's going to be my image. I picked out a sentiment from the Thank You Basics stamp and die set. And then I did a background stamp instead of a stencil, and that is going to be the Thank You background. So, first, I will start with the Tattered Daisy. This is a really simple die set. There's only about three pieces here. One of the pieces does have the center portion for the flower and then an additional layer to the petals. Now, off screen, I went ahead and die cut the petals and the centerpieces from white cardstock. And then I think this was avocado cardstock from Concord and Ninth. I did that for my stem and the leaves. Now, the best way to figure out how a layering die set needs to be arranged is check out the packaging from the company. A lot of times there is a picture included, and I used that to figure out how to layer these two pieces together, which is super easy. It layers together just like a puzzle. There's one layer that kind of fits on top like a puzzle piece to the bottom layer. Now, honestly, I was going to create a rainbow assortment is what I initially had planned. But after I die cut all of them from white cardstock, I found that I was really drawn to that clean and simple look of the white daisy. So I am bringing out a craft tacky mat. I'm going to use that to hold my die cuts in place while I add a little bit of ink blending just to the center of each of the layers of the daisy. So to do that, I am using a sea glass ink from Altenew, so just a really nice light blue, and then a small blending brush. I start in the center of the flower and just blend a little ways out to the edge of the petals, just enough to give it a little bit of dimension. Then for the centerpieces again, I am placing them on that tacky mat just so that they're not sliding all over my desk on my glass work surface. For that, I am using raw amber from Altenew and again with a small blending brush. I'm not going to add any ink to the leaves because those were pretty delicate, so I'm going to leave those as is. I'm going to add a liquid glue to the back of my top layer and place that down. Again, it kind of fits right over the top of some of the petals on the bottom layer. So very, very easy to put together. And that is really helpful when I want to make a quick card. The reason I say I need a quick card is because it is the end of the school year and I need to get my act together and get some thank you cards done up for the teachers and the aides for my son because he's leaving middle school, heading to high school, and I need to put some really special cards together. Now, for a background for the daisies, this is totally personal preference. You could add them to colored cardstock, you could add it to just a plain white piece of cardstock. I love doing ink blending, so I'm going to blend the top half of this piece of cardstock using Iceberg ink, and then I'm going to flip that and I'm going to ink blend some aloe vera to the bottom half. So this is kind of giving a loose look of the sky and some grass. Now, again, I could stop at this point, but I want to add some texture to the background, just some really subtle texture. This is where you could use a stencil, or in my case, I am using the Thank You background stamp, which is going to pair nicely with the sentiment that I picked out. So I placed a Misti grip mat in my Misti stamping tool, or you can use another type of sticky mat or grip mat in the bottom of the Misti. I'm just using the script mat from my Sweet Petunia. I'm placing it down into my Misti. I have my cardstock on there and I lined up my background stamp over that. So it's going to cover the entire piece of my cardstock. Then I'm going to ink up the top half of the stamp with that same iceberg and aloe vera colors that I used to do my blending. I'm going to take a rag and just kind of dab away some of that ink and stamp that down. I'm trying to be pretty soft and quick about it. It actually came out a little darker than I wanted, but it's going to work perfectly because I just wanted something subtle. Then I'm going to stamp a sentiment since I had my Misti out. So I removed that sticky mat. I don't use it for just stamping sentiments. And for this, I'm using the Thank You Basics stamp and coordinating die. This is definitely going to be a staple. It's going to stay close to my desk because I like to make a lot of thank you cards. And this has some really great sentiments on there. And I love the different pairings of the fonts. So I'm stamping that using some Versafine Nocturne ink. I'm going to use the coordinating die to die cut that out. So I'm just holding it down with Post-it tape, running it through my die cut machine, and I will die cut that 2 more times from plain white cardstock. I'm going to add liquid glue to the top of those extra pieces, and then I'm just going to pick up my sentiment and kind of quickly pop it down over the top. This is just a really quick way to build up dimension on your sentiment. Since it's liquid glue, we have a little bit of wiggle time to make sure that those are lined up perfectly together. I created a side folding card base. I added tape runner to the top of that, and I'm adding my background onto my card front. Now, this is where things could start taking me a while is figuring out the arrangement. Like I mentioned, I was going to do like a rainbow assortment of flowers, but again, that clean and simple white daisy just really spoke to me. So I played around with different arrangements. I filled up the card, I took some away, and this one I decided where I have them coming in from the left-hand side and then kind of staggered at the bottom. So once I had laid them out, I'm adding liquid glue to the back of the flowers and some of the leaves. I do want to make note that those stems and leaves are pretty fragile, so you could either die cut another one to layer it together or just keep that in mind when you are working with them. I'm going to flip my card front over and trim off any of the excess hanging off. And it's really funny because I didn't realize until editing the video what had happened. But under one of my flowers, it just looked funny. And I didn't realize that this leaf was a part of a different flower that I had trimmed off. So I end up removing that because it just kind of looked odd. You'll see that here right where I'm playing, I'm kind of peeling my flower up. It looked really funny. So I'm going to remove that piece and then I am adding my own flowers. I just trimmed off some of the leaves from my other stems that I didn't use and filled in that bottom. I just thought it needed a little bit more greenery. So after I trimmed off the excess there, I flipped this back over and I'm going to add my sentiment with some thin foam squares. And I had some sequins left over on my desk from a different project that I was working on earlier. So they matched this perfectly. And this is the sparkling clear confetti mix from Pretty Pink Posh. I'm going to have all of these supplies linked down below in my video description if you're interested in anything I used. But I love how this all came together. And really, this card only took me maybe about 45 minutes. So that is my go-to process when I need to make a quick card or I'm short on time. And I hope that some of these tips help you if you need to make a card on short notice. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you soon.